Oh, they caught me dancing.
Yes,
Okay.
they did. Unfortunately.
So we're going to play an intro, and everyone will forget that they saw that.
Oh my
We'll see
gosh.
you back here in 20 seconds. Do you think people realize in that intro that was actually us and that's not stunt doubles?
I think they've realized it by now, yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, I didn't know if they thought that was stunt doubles, because that guy there's look much better looking than I am. So
oh my gosh. Come on. You don't give yourself enough compliments.
Because you're the talent, Rodg. Like, do you know anytime somebody comes up to me when they see me on the streets and they're like, "Are you that Herman guy from the Herb Rodg?"
Herman?
Yes, really? And I'm like,
but no, they probably say, "Are you Bran or Gandalf?"
First off, no. So okay. I love our folks who are good evening to Randy, superstar Randy and Big Mike are like neck and neck as far as popularity.
Yeah,
but Randy's a superstar.
Yes, yes.
And the Alpha, one of our topics, Alpha? You'll definitely be happy to hear about Lady Alpha, and of course, then there goes the "Hey Randy." Yeah. Randy is more popular than us on our own show.
We're just the middleman.
Lady Alpha. Yeah. Good evening to Kat. All right, Rodg, this is going to be a Super Bowl heavy show, but we do have a couple news to clean up, and you have a couple bad jokes that you want to give us, right? So we lost yet another person in this past week. The transfer portal ended at like midnight, and so at 11:50. Our offensive coordinator said,
I don't want to do it.
Yeah, I was just playing. I planned on leaving the whole time.
It makes me wonder how deep he into thought he was actually as far as staying in Tuscaloosa. Like, did he really want to do it, or did he feel more like obligated to do it because Coach DB said, "Hey, will you come with me?"
Yeah,
and then he kind of moved over the decision. He was like, "No, I don't want to do this. I want to go back to Seattle." So,
he probably looked at all this recruiting in the South and how crazy we are down here, and he was like, "Oh,
I'm not ready for that."
Oh no! I mean, which I can't blame him. Like, you're at a point now where the NFL is infinitely more attractive than college with all you're doing. Like, imagine you come in here and, all right, let me recruit these guys. Okay, let me coach these guys. All right, let me keep recruiting. All right, let me recruit the guys I have. Well, somebody else from another team, let me try and recruit them. Like, that's too much for me. So
I mean, as far as the way I feel about it is like he didn't call any plays. He was going to go be Coach DB's offense anyway. It's just I just don't like the fact that it leads to like more instability on our end, and I want players to look at this and say, okay, things are set now. Things have settled down now. I mean, we already got another coordinator with Nick Sheridan, so everything will be fine. But I wanted to just be stable going into spring, and then let's see what happens.
Is he one of the Backstreet Boys, Nick Sheridan? Or is that
I don't know. You're talking about Nick wait.
Or maybe Ed Sheridan. Is he related to him?
You're talking about Ed Sheeran.
Oh. Well, I mean, I don't know these things.
Ed Sheeran was not one of the Backstreet Boys.
Oh, okay. I don't know these things. Yeah. And this is a good point here. Yeah, like he wasn't here. And like I said, though, I don't have any hate for him. You know what I mean? Like, if he didn't want to be here, he didn't want to have to be here. So that's fine. You know, I don't
Right.
And we gotta address this because it's like people are like, oh, they waited until the transfer portal here, so now they've trapped the Alabama players. I'm sorry. Have you guys seen the transfer portal? Nobody is trapped anymore.
Right.
The portal opens right back up in the spring in a couple months. And if you're thinking, oh, well, they got to wait a couple months. Oh no, they have to wait a couple months. That sounds very, those are new world problems right there.
Right.
If somebody wants to transfer out, they'll still have plenty of chances to transfer out. That was the only reason why they're staying. So I don't even see that. So no, I thought it was definitely a weird move to stay to the end.
Yeah.
But like I said, I just in the big scheme of things, I don't think it's going to affect anything. Like, if people want to stay, they're still going to have plenty of chances to leave.
Yeah.
So, and anybody who actually was reading any rumors knew that he was very likely to leave anyway. So, I guess I don't really care at this point.
I know. If he had been on our staff for several years prior and then left, then I would feel a certain way about it. But nothing transpired, nothing happened. So
Right.
You know,
well, he's saying from their transport. Like, if you were one of those kids, would you think it's shady the way he stayed? I feel like they would know. I feel like they would know.
Yeah.
That they're about to go. But I also think you're in a spot where in 2 months you can still transfer out. And the way it works right now, if you make it known that you're thinking about transferring, people will come and give you your offers anyway. Yeah. So it's not. I just don't feel like people are at a disadvantage, I guess is what I'm saying. You're still going to get the same opportunities. You know, if you really believe that people weren't already contacting our players even before Save, like, come on. We know of at least 2 of them that were being contacted as soon as the national championship game ended. So, no, I think the kids will still have the same opportunity. So. It looks that way outside, of course. I mean, they definitely waited till last minute for a reason, but you're still going to have the opportunity to get out of here. So, Lady Alva trying to. Nick Carter is the Backstreet Boy. Duh.
Nick Carter. I was thinking Nick Lachey, but I think Nick Lachey was in sync or another group. I forget.
I can't believe you bring up the Backstreet Boys and NSYNC on our show.
Oh my gosh, you bring up Taylor Swift all the time.
She was in the Super Bowl. She caught a touchdown.
She wasn't.
She caught a touchdown. Oh, she wasn't. Oh, was that her boyfriend? Oh, I keep forgetting his name. Her boyfriend caught a couple passes. Though, right?
Nick Lachey was 98 Degrees. Thank you, Kat. I knew it was one of those boy band groups. I forgot.
I just knew it wasn't the Hanson brothers. That's the only thing I knew.
Well, okay. I don't even know how to respond to that. Come on.
All right. Our last little there's 2 or 3 little college football nuggets I wanted to get to, and then we'll spend a lot of time.
College football what? Okay.
So this morning, yesterday morning, I used the phrase "fleet of foot," and I got.
Yeah, but I've heard. I mean, everybody's heard that phrase. I just thought it was funny when you said it, and I could throw a little jab in there, be like, "What, fleet of foot?" But that's a widely used phrase, so you get a pass on that one.
So let's have an update then on this. How many times you've heard logjam in the past week? Am I finally vindicated on logjam?
When did you send me that text?
Okay, but how many texts have I sent you in the last week?
You text me that every day.
Yes. And how many logjam texts have you gotten the last week?
Just one.
Well, are you lying to everyone on
No, it was that you sent over that podcast video that I listened to.
And then I sent you that text about Alabama basketball you didn't even want to read because the title said logjam in it.
Right. That I didn't count that one.
Am I finally vindicated on logjam?
Since we've talked about it so much, yeah. But
thank you, Randy.
No, it took Randy too long to say that. We've been joking about logjam for like months now. It seems like so. It's not everyday lingo. I have to disagree with him there. Sorry.
Yeah. So are they Dino Nuggies? Are they Dino? Yes, with ranch sauce. And Raj, don't.
All right. Let's get into the college football. Nuggets that you
all right. So ESPN released their latest. Way too early top 25. I've been waiting for one of these so we can actually just. Oh, by the way, Valentine's Day is tomorrow.
Yes.
So all you guys who are buying up last minute stuff, Publix has better flowers than Walmart. So that's the only advice I can give you. So it is if you're a lumberjack.
Oh, wow.
Thank you. Shout out to all my lumberjack friends.
Yeah, all of them.
All right, so they came out with a new top 10. So I've been waiting to see one that's kind of more updated with after the coaching changes.
Right.
I'll give you 0 guesses as to who's number 1 is. We all know.
We know that.
Yes, and rightfully so. That's who would have my vote too. Yeah. Number 2, Ohio State. Not a surprise there. Number 3,
I'm not surprised
Oregon.
With all the acquisitions that they've made over the past 1 or 2 months. So I'm not surprised with that. And I think Caleb Downs obviously being the big one going there definitely helped them out. And they got Quinshon Judkins from Ole Miss. So that's understandable.
They have loaded it. Yeah. Oregon at number 3. So
my question here is, are they expecting Dylan Gabriel to just automatically fill the shoes of Bo Nix?
So the exact quote from the ESPN article, Dylan Gabriel should be a plug-and-play replacement for quarterback Bo Nix. Okay. So they're saying no drop-off whatsoever.
I don't know if that's going to happen. I'll only time will tell though. And then
we say that, but on this show, we both picked Oregon, Ohio State to be playing for the Big Ten championship and to both make the playoffs.
Yes.
So I can see why that would be. Texas at 4. Not really.
Not surprised there.
They don't have Alabama, Auburn, LSU, or Ole Miss. I don't know why they listed some of those teams in there. Like they
why play, is Notre Dame
play at Michigan and Georgia. What?
Who? Texas?
Yeah.
They won't play Alabama, Auburn, LSU.
Oh, happy birthday!
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday! We would have sent her a gift.
Yeah,
nice Alabama T-shirt.
Alabama. Yeah, I was about to say some Alabama paraphernalia.
You would never let near her, but
yeah,
it's definitely happy birthday, right? I wish we had known, man. So that's the issue. They're gonna put Oregon on a pedestal all season again. So last year was definitely pumped up on Oregon. Oh my goodness, what? Happy birthday!
Happy birthday!
Man. How are we missing all these things? And if you're not my Facebook friend, I don't know when your birthday is. That's the problem.
Side note: it's my wife's birthday tomorrow. Yes,
yep.
On Valentine's Day. So
yep. So Rodg has to go spend twice as much money as everyone else on earth.
We already did everything. It was brutal, but no. Yeah. Happy birthday to everybody out there. So
yes. Oregon was definitely overvalued a little last year, but even by us, so I can't really blame everybody. Right. I did pick Washington to beat them, I think, in the second one, but in the Pac-12 championship game.
Yeah.
But making Washington a 9-point underdog, it was just weird.
Weird, yeah.
And then Oregon is probably the best Pac-12 team going up there for sure. You don't know what you're getting from USC.
I agree because UCLA lost from Washington. Yeah, Washington had a huge fall off.
Yeah, Washington's coach went somewhere else. I can't remember.
Well, his coach went somewhere else, and they're only returning like 2 starters, correct?
Yeah, it was going to be rough. Yeah. Yeah. So, there you go, Rod. Happy birthday!
Thank you, Lady Alpha. Appreciate it.
Everybody, we've turned it to the happy birthday.
I know
the hour. Yeah. Happy birthday to everybody. We would have sent everybody gifts if we had known.
Yeah.
Well, Rod handled Sydney well, but we would have had sent everybody else. So. Notre Dame was 5.
I didn't understand this one. I did not understand this one, and I'm looking at some of the info right now. But even with this being said, it's like they're getting the Duke quarterback as far as the transfer, but maybe it's their schedule. I have to take a look at their 2024 schedule to kind of, and maybe that'll help justify their position at number 5. But I just did not agree with it. And then Ole Miss is at 6. I would have Ole Miss top 4, to be honest with you, up there. Maybe even
I can see that with their well. So I'm Georgia. Ohio State, I like it 1 and 2. Oregon, I'm okay with in the top 4. I would still have Texas over Ole Miss, I guess, just because of how the last year ended. So but I could see Ole Miss at 5 for sure.
Ole Miss,
I don't have any major disagreements with it. And we did mention as part of our college football breakdowns. I know we have an Oklahoma, Georgia, and LSU on deck. Might try to get our Texas person, but we failed at that twice already. Once on them, once on us for sure.
Yeah.
But we do want to do our kind of spring summer series where we bring some teams in. So when I watched this list, the first thing I did was add Notre Dame to it. Like, okay, we got to get a Notre Dame person to come here and tell me, like, is this going to be for real? So, and Oregon. Oregon's on the list. So we had an Oregon person on last year. So it'll be interesting to see what they have to say if they decide to come back. All right. So rounding out your top 10, Ole Miss, Mizzou, Penn State, Alabama, and Utah, number 10.
Yeah.
Any surprises in the rest of the top 10?
Kind of surprised. Not surprised for Missouri after the way that they ended the season. I know they're losing their running back.
And had some good returning. Yeah, but they had some good returning people there.
They got some good returners. Yeah, losing their running back, but no surprise there. Not sure what Penn State's actually going to do next year. And again, we're talking about these without looking at any schedules, so maybe that comes into play.
Right. I feel like real quick on that one, and until they prove me wrong, I feel like Penn State was the 3rd best team in the Big Ten forever. Could never get over the hump. I know they won the Big Ten one year, but didn't even make the
I think that was 2021 that they won.
I think but Ohio State I think is the one that still made the playoff. Yeah, because they had 2 losses, and I think Oregon's going to supplant them. I don't know. I never know what to make of Penn State. So
as far as
Utah at 10 surprised me. Go ahead.
Yeah. As far as Alabama at 9, I thought we would be a little higher, but I'm not surprised due to all the coaching changes and the players leaving, etc. So, and honestly, I'm fine with that. Let's start at 9, and then I like going in there not with the target on our back, and then we have some things that we need to prove, obviously, this upcoming season. So, I'm fine with it.
I thought it was a perfectly fair ranking, and I don't know. I feel better. I feel better when we're lower ranked anyway. So and then look what the season plays out, man. You've got
everything will work
Wisconsin early, and you've got Georgia. You lose those games, and you don't deserve to be up there anyway. So it is what it is.
We're gonna win both of those games.
Oh wow! You also told me Tennessee was gonna beat Georgia 2 years in a row.
I may have had too much whiskey that night, but I don't know.
I'm
just playing.
Did you know
I thought it was gonna happen.
Brown blueberry is a thing?
Crown Blueberry?
Yeah.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, me neither, but until last night. So.
Oh, wow.
All right, Rodg. So that's your top 10. If you want to go look at the top 15, we stole that straight from ESPN. So if you want to look at any of that, the college football board members a week from today are going to vote on the 5+7 format versus the 6+6. I don't see how they keep the 6+6. And I like how Washington State and Oregon State are just hanging on, trying to catch that Pac-12 money. But you're going to have to change it. I'm sorry. Yeah. The format's going to have to change one way or another.
We're talking about the playoff format, correct?
Correct, the playoff format.
I am very curious to see what the final format is going to be. I mean, just looking at everybody's schedule and knowing what they're going to have to go through next season. I mean, we've already talked about it. There's going to be some teams in there 2 or 3 losses that are still going to get into the playoffs somehow. Oh, yeah. It just depends on how things happen. And specifically with the SEC, you don't even have to play in the SEC championship game. You can kind of sneak in. Obviously, that means you're going to have to play more games to get to the top. But for some teams, it might work out.
I'm saying minimum right now. The Big Ten and SEC winners and runners up.
Yeah,
both are making the playoffs. To me, easily
for the Big Ten, SEC.
Big Ten and SEC. The
yes,
winners,
I agree.
Yes. And I think they're each getting their next best. So I think 3 teams from each league are definitely going.
I agree.
I don't even think that's going to be like a close argument, to be honest.
I agree.
So, Big 12, I think, is probably the team that's benefiting from this. They've lost their 2 best, and they kind of just cobbled some teams together. They have no real front runner, so I feel like that might be the most competitive league.
And but what's going to happen is we might see a Big 12 team with maybe 1 loss or even possibly undefeated champion, and then they're going to be, well, why are we ranked lower than Alabama, who has 1 or 2 losses, whatever the case may be. But and I said this even before they proposed a 12-team playoff. I said, regardless of how many teams you put in there, there's always going to be teams that are
upset about something.
Yes, they're going to be upset about something, and why aren't we ranked higher than this team, and blah 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 blah. So,
agreed. All right, so that covers everything. Oh, and then your one quick NCAA basketball note.
Yeah.
Right now, Alabama is a lock. The SEC teams that are a lock: Tennessee, Alabama, Auburn, and South Carolina. I'm surprised
Kentucky. Yes. They're having I think they're 16-6 or 17-7, something like that. So I thought they would be a lock as well. And we do play them.
Gonzaga the other day. Yep.
Yeah, we do play, and Gonzaga's not even ranked, so that hurt him a little bit. So we do play Kentucky. I forget if it's at Kentucky or in. I think it's at Kentucky.
I thought we played both. To be honest,
or is it home and away? I forget.
I thought so when I was looking at the schedule. Can you tell how much we're really paying attention to?
Yeah, we'll dive into that later. But I mean, I'm glad we're a lock, and I mean, I'm looking at the rest of the remaining SEC schedule. I think we can win most of these. We'll probably have 1 loss in there somewhere. But then we'll go into the SEC tournament pretty strong. So,
well, you're right. They've Kentucky goes to Auburn, goes to LSU, and then comes home for Alabama.
So they'll probably lose the Auburn game, and then we have them at home. I think we could beat.
No. We are going to Kentucky.
I think we could beat them at Kentucky.
I don't know, man.
It's gonna be a tough one.
It's like Alabama football all of a sudden.
Yeah, it's gonna be a tough one, but I think we can take it.
Yeah, I think so. Randy, I'd actually agree with both these points. Remember last week when we were looking, I was like, who is their best team like right now? Are we talking Oklahoma State? So yeah, that team could be like 3-loss team versus a 2-loss team for their championship game. One of them is guaranteed to go in and I guess get a first round bye, but no, I don't see the people that are in there as national title contenders either. So I agree on both points. So it'll be a lot of fun. You'll want to tune in every week, and the top 2 will probably change like every other week. But yeah, I mean, and that's why I like to the point that I know we have a lot of people who like to bring this up with the Colorado thing. That's why the Big 12 is going to be good for Colorado in the short term, because it will be competitive and he's got a chance to jump up there. So, but as far as national titles, no, I just don't see it. So, all right, Rodg, you ready to talk a little Super Bowl?
Yes.
Let's start with setting the scene for both of us, right? What was your Super Bowl party, non-party? Like, what was your whole thing for the Super Bowl?
We were at the house with the kids. My wife's dad came over. My wife's dad came over.
Did you have to remember if that was right?
Yeah. My father-in-law
Did you forget your wife had a dad? Like, what's going on?
And he hung out with us a little bit, but we just ordered Wingstop, showed up at the house, watched it. Had a good time. I liked some of the commercials. Well, I'm not sure if we're getting ready to get into this. I liked some of the commercials, but the majority of them I wasn't really too impressed by. I was excited to see the Deadpool times Wolverine
and then when
movie
they tell you
preview.
to go look at it online.
Still, yeah, I went online, then I looked at some of the stuff because there's a character in there who I was not familiar with. You probably would be familiar with this person because they only show the back of this person's head. And can we talk about it or what?
Yeah, go ahead, Rod. You did.
But apparently,
it's
Cassandra Nova.
Halftime. Huh?
Cassandra Nova. I think that's who it is.
Yeah.
Professor X.
I didn't know they do a Deadpool with her though. That's interesting.
Yeah, I think that's who the villain is in the movie because they show the back of her head, they pointy ears, bald head. But I'm excited for the movie to come out. Out of all the commercials, which ones like kind of stood by you as far as you liking them? Which one? I mean,
I like the Arnold Schwarzenegger State Farm one.
That's
one of the first ones that I think of for some reason.
And a lot of people may not have got the catch with Danny DeVito at the end from
I don't
Twins.
think they did.
A lot of younger people would not have realized that, but I like that one. The cat just chimed in the Dunkin' Donuts one with Tom Brady, Matt Damon had been.
And this is that was funny. So you have to understand on some of these, my group was a bunch of guys from a Dad's church. That's why Dad invited me, and then a bunch of guys from his church. Me being the youngest person there, that should tell you a lot about what the group was. And I'm
just playing.
And there's a Chiefs fan, 49ers fan, a defense fan in front of me. Like he just wanted a low scoring defense, and then just scattered folks. So a lot of the commercials, like if there was talking in them to start and people weren't interested, I missed several commercials. Yeah. So like the ones I pick are the ones I definitely saw. Like I see the baby pickable. I missed half of that commercial.
It was good. It was an E-Trade because E-Trade always does the baby. It was good, but it wasn't as good as some of the E-Trade ones in the past.
That's okay. I missed the whole first half of that commercial. So.
No, you could catch it on YouTube, I'm sure. So
So that was our scene. Okay, so where to even begin? First quarter. It just looked like Kansas City was on their heels. It looked like San Francisco
dominated both sides of the ball in the first quarter, and their defense was just absolutely suffocating. Nick Bosa, he didn't have any sacks in the game, but he might have been the best defensive player for San Francisco in that whole game. He was all over the place.
So let me ask you this. So we're watching this, and like I said, San Francisco comes out on fire, and you have that first fumble. And the air just kind of goes. Do you know what game I made a parallel with on that game?
No.
That play? Alabama versus LSU. The year LSU won the national title in Tuscaloosa. Tua, your boy, has the ball, third down.
2019.
And he's coming to the right. And where I am in the stadium, he's basically running towards us. And I think he looks up and sees me and goes to wave and drops the football.
Drops the ball,
And that fumble just kind of, and LSU goes back down and score. Now, would that have been the difference in that? I mean, LSU was on fire that year. You know what I mean? Yeah, that was. But I liken that to the San Francisco one where you're really cooking and you have something like that happens. And then your very next drive is penalty field and you punt. And it seemed like, and I know Shanahan likes to use scripts a lot, for his first, 15, 20 plays.
Yeah.
And I feel like those plays were all cooking.
Yep.
And then it was kind of like, where do we go from here? So it just seemed like the first quarter, everybody was stuck in the mud after that.
Yeah, I agree. I think San Francisco completely dominated that first quarter. And then it seemed like Patrick Mahomes was just kind of running for his life. The offense couldn't get generated. I mean, if I remember, Kelsey in the first half, had one reception for like 1 yard.
One reception, 1 yard, one coach tackle. I think that was his stats for the whole first.
But seeing that stat with him also let me know that in the second half, he's going to start cooking in the second half, which is what happened.
But even then,
it took some time.
Okay, so that gets you through the first half. You're watching this. You're thinking San Francisco has wasted a lot of opportunities. Yeah,
and hold on. And I keep in mind, I said San Francisco will be up by half, maybe even by 10 points at half, but I think it was like 10-3 at half. It was pretty small. So that was my prediction. So,
when you're watching into the first half, did you think San Francisco should use more timeouts to try and get the ball back?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
I kind of liked what they were doing. I like the execution. I like the mix of run and pass.
No. When Kansas City had the ball at the very end of the half,
Oh, I didn't think they were going to. I was okay with it because I thought they were just going to try to prevent them from doing. And I thought they were going to be okay with giving up those 3 points. And I hate to say that, but I think Shanahan was okay with that. But I don't think they were going to try to get the ball back and drive down the field. So
yeah. And that's what, so like I've been listening to a lot of the San Francisco broadcasts since then too as well. And that's one thing that one of the guys mentioned too is as wishing he had gotten a little more aggressive. That I think it's just a fine line to take more timeouts to give KC more time as well. So you might be taking those 3 into 7. So that gets you up to halftime. What do you think of the halftime show?
I thought the halftime show was awesome. I think the big
wait. No Usher pun? What are you talking about? What's Herb, I have a confession. I think the halftime time was like that's just off the top of my head, Rod.
I don't want to do any of those lame puns right now. I'll leave that to you.
That's all we do. That's the very definition of a pun is it's lame.
Oh my goodness. I thought it was awesome. I think the big question in our household, and a lot of people want to know who were the special guests going to be. I kept telling Sydney joking. I was like, maybe Taylor Swift just comes out from the suite and just performs at halftime. But he brought down a lot of people from Atlanta, which was really cool. Brought back some memories from the early.
That's where the players play.
Oh my gosh, that was actually funny. I'll give you that one. Air high five.
All right. First time ever.
So that brought back some memories from the early to mid 2000s. That was pretty cool. I know he did a little duet with Alicia Keys, so I'm pretty sure Swiss Pizza was at home. Like
that's what I was thinking. I had to ask.
A little close there, but it's part of the performance.
No, it wasn't.
It's part of the performance.
No, it was not.
Come on now.
No.
So
you don't think he didn't improvise that one? He probably didn't know Alicia Keys was showing up. He was like, "Oh, cool."
He's like, "Oh wow, let me take my shirt off for this one." But no, he didn't have his shirt off with her. I think he did that afterwards or whatever.
Oh, okay. But, so he saw Alicia Keys and then the shirt came off.
Man, if I saw Alicia Keys, my shirt.
Hey! It's a family show,
family-oriented show.
Oh,
Urban Rodg. No, I thought it was cool.
Watching, I apologize.
It was cool to see Ludacris. It was cool to see Lil Jon. I have no idea what type of ruffle socks Jermaine Dupri was wearing. He looked like he was like in the 2nd grade, getting ready to go to like a church event or something like that. That was hilarious.
He may have been.
Yeah, but overall, thought it was a good performance. How about you?
That was pretty good. It's funny. One of the deacons that was there about 10 minutes before halftime said, "Hey, where's the remote? I need you to turn this up." When they came on there, so they were actually more into it. So I thought it was a good performance. I don't think people realize how tough it is to appeal to everybody and to do the Super Bowl. So I thought he did a great job. I love the guests. I was a Ludacris fan, so that was my favorite. Just because of Fast and the Furious, though. So Kat says she wore those when she was 2. I think that was like 20 years ago for Kat. So happy birthday. Happy 22nd birthday there, Kat.
Happy 22nd birthday, Kat.
Yeah, so that gets you into halftime, and you're thinking so the Kansas City guy with us had just the whole Kansas City's got all the momentum. Kansas City's got all the momentum. I was like, I mean, they're down 10-3, and
they didn't have a lot of momentum, but I didn't think
so at all.
Everybody pretty much knew that if they played that bad in the first half, they weren't going to play that bad in the second half, and they were going to kick things into gear in the second half, which is kind of what happened. But I also felt like that third quarter was just a downfall for San Francisco. Their play calling was questionable. I think Kyle Shanahan.
Wait. Yeah. Okay, go into further because that's an excellent point. And so it's funny the way the podcasts work. This will be my second time talking about the Super Bowl, and I'll get to talk about it tomorrow morning again. Bo and Mr. U, I know they're out there making the rounds, but I appreciate both those guys.
Shout out to Bo.
I want you to go further into that one because that was my point Monday morning about that third quarter and play calling. So what?
Yeah. I think Kyle Shanahan was trying to go for the kill shot early in that third quarter and just pass. And they should have stayed with what worked in the first half, which was giving the ball to Christian McCaffrey, moving the ball down the field, then going for a touchdown. But he just kept throwing the ball.
Brock Purdy good enough to win you a Super Bowl?
On the right team, yes. On this team, I think
do you want to? It's 30 minutes in. You wanted to jump into the Brock Purdy debate real quick? Okay.
Well, let's finish the Super Bowl. I mean, let's finish that. I mean, that's just how I felt about the third quarter. I felt like they should have leaned more on the run, which was what's working in the first half. I think McCaffrey should have got more touches in that third quarter, and I think that they would have scored at least 1 or 2 touchdowns doing that. But he kind of strayed away from that and
for Shanahan. So
he's known for doing that. Yeah.
I'm glad that you made that point because that's my exact feeling. So you start off the third quarter, Kansas City gets the ball. They've just hit their first half of their double. They got points right before. So you're like, this is the key drive. The very first play is a fumble. Bad pitch by and they wanted to debate it, but I was like, that's a bad pitch by Mahomes. Like you got to hit your running back here. Your running back does not reach back. Like you want your wide receiver, you expect to catch these. Your running back is here and running in his momentum. He doesn't need to be. So that was a bad pitch, right? Then you get an interception, and you're at the Kansas City 44. And to your point, it was 3 pass plays and done. The first 9 plays they ran in the second half, 1 run, 8 passes. I was like, no, it doesn't make sense. The run game was working in the beginning. That's kind of your bread and butter. You got C-Mac, who is your best player on the team. Like, I did not get that. That's where you need. If you start on the 44, you give me a couple runs, you're probably in field goal range at the very least. To come away with no points on any of that was ludicrous. So,
oh my gosh, it was.
Yeah, and then so you've already shot yourself on the foot in the first half with the fumble and with the penalties on the next drive. Then you have the punt muff.
Yes.
They were debating that in there. There's players versus coaching. Where do you lie on that one?
I mean, I think that I forgot the guy whose ankle it hit. I forgot his last name. But you've got to be more aware you have to be more familiar with your awareness on the field, especially when you're blocking. He wasn't. And the returner who was supposed to catch the ball, he was even pointing, saying, "Hey man, look, this is where the ball's coming." But that guy
he said he was yelling whatever. Every team has a specific, "Hey, get away from the ball" call.
Yeah.
And he said he was doing there. So I'll say that. Obviously, I have no idea what you can hear, not hear down there. So I totally get that. But
so after the ball hit his ankle, I thought the player should have dove on the ball.
Thank you.
He tried to pick it up and run. You got to just jump on that right there and just call it down.
And where was he running to, though, Rodg? He was not facing up the field.
I think he was trying to run and go to the left and maybe try to get out of bounds or something. But I'm like, dude, just dive on the ball.
And that's what I was thinking. There was nothing positive to be gained if he had scooped it up and run. His momentum was going this way.
Yeah.
Players are all around him. You fall on it and you live to fight another day. So I think, he's the primary person responsible. He didn't get up to catch it. That's not on him necessarily, but the call wasn't made. But once you have a chance to raise some mistake, you do. And then Kansas City scores the next play. And it's like, you have felt like, and you've seen this throughout the playoffs, teams, when you are going to put away Kansas City, you have to do it.
Yep.
And that was just a killer. And then San Francisco has a terrible third quarter. They start a drive in the third quarter that ends in the fourth quarter. And it's like when you can do no right, you can do no right. I'll get to both ratings in a minute. You missed the extra point. Yeah. And by the way, I think it's hilarious now that some of these broadcasters decided to have a kicker in the booth who comes out and talks about how bad kicking is, and they only let him talk like once or twice for the whole broadcast.
Yeah, and it's on a side note, some people are like, if they had made that extra point, they would have won the game. That was not the reason they lost the game. Obviously, they would have had another point, but that's not the main reason that they lost the game. And I hate it when people try to blame it on the kicker. There were several things that we've already discussed that kind of caused them to lose the game. It wasn't just that one extra point that they missed.
So I'll give Lady Alpha a good night.
All right, have a good night, Lady Alpha.
Appreciate you tuning in. I know she gets up super, super early.
Yeah.
This is please definitely hit our like we've been very lax in our efforts of getting subscribers and stuff. So our first thing to do is get our quest for 100.
Yes.
That's what we're trying to get next. So please help us out. Like, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your enemies. They can come on here and curse us out as long as they subscribe. We don't mind that either.
We don't mind.
Yep. Randy's referring to the Tide World Order. So the Tide World Order, they have because we haven't left the Shake Back Media group. you know, that's still kind of who got us started here and help us promote our stuff. But Title Order, a bunch of Alabama themed network stuff has gotten together too as well and asked us to help out with that. So we're going to try and promote them as well. So I mean, I don't know, it's all good podcast. Here's a good side note.
We're still trying to figure out things here.
Yeah, we're definitely not where we want to be or need to be, but we're definitely working on it. Yeah. Here's a good side note. This is a question before we continue on the Super Bowl talk.
Yeah.
Randy asked us this. How many podcasts or YouTube stuff do you consume, like in a typical week or whatever?
Now, do we just watching videos or just what?
Strictly watching or listening to podcast stuff, not former videos, but actual podcasts and other content.
Me, honestly, maybe 1 or 2 a week. Honestly, outside of ours. Yeah, I'd say 1 or 2 a week, just outside. Not as many as I need to. I definitely need to dive more into a lot more Alabama stuff, just because I like getting everybody's point of view, especially when it comes to Alabama football.
Yeah.
That's the main one that we focus on, but not necessarily as many as I need to, but I'm definitely going to work on it.
Yeah, and I think that's where our jobs are different because of the stuff I do. I can usually put my earphones in and I can listen to them on the job or going to a job. So I listen to quite a few. Yeah. I listen to less Alabama ones than anything else because we already consume so much Alabama. Right. So like Randy's, I catch Randy's every week on Wednesday, and his Thursday one when it's on too as well. But I listen to, so like let's say after a big loss like this, I probably won't listen to the Kansas City one. I'll listen to the San Francisco one, though, all day. Throughout the year, whenever Alabama beats a team, I listen to their broadcast to see what people thought. You know, I'm always looking to see, are you an excuse-oriented team, or are you talking about, like, what actually happened? You know, so I kind of like those breakdowns. I'll give San Francisco guys – go ahead. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, to your point as far as the podcast, I also like hearing what other people's – like, I also like hearing about our opponents and what other people feel about their teams and – what their depth charts looking like, what are their strengths, what are their weaknesses, because these are things that I might not research myself, so I like to hear what other people have to say.
Yep. I'll give the San Francisco guys credit. They were not really talking about anything other than their team and the mistakes they made. Yeah. You know, there was so the only reason why I wasn't wanting Kansas City to win was I did not want to hear the conspiracy talk. You know,
that's so annoying. It's that, and then it's rigged, and people don't say anything until after the game. Like, of course the NFL wanted the Chiefs to win. Blah 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 blah. This means more money for them. Stop with that stuff. Okay, San Francisco had a really good chance to win that game. Yep. They did some questionable things that kind of led to the downfall. Yep. We're still
going to cover that. We're still going to cover that. To that point, though, what you're making there, if you were going to say rigged, the NFL would make money by Kansas City making the Super Bowl.
Right.
After you make the Super Bowl and you're tuned in, they don't care who wins. You're already there. They've already collected all the money. So Kansas City winning did not do anything extra for the bottom line. They got more views. But look at how they got here. Buffalo misses a field goal that could push it into overtime. They win. They don't score a single point in the whole second half against Baltimore. They win. And now let's get back into this game where we were.
Didn't even mention the Miami game.
Miami just felt like their season was done by the time that game started.
How do you know how we felt?
Okay, what do you think?
It was cold.
Yeah. So, and that's it. For Mahomes to get the 8 chips, so he's undisputed greatest QB ever. I mean, speaking as a non-Tom Brady fan, I'm perfectly okay with that.
Yeah.
So, I think you're going to listen. We're going to, as we continue on this talk in the fourth quarter and overtime, you're going to hear some coaching decisions that were basically in fear of Mahomes. So fourth quarter kind of played out, just field goal, exchange, let's get to overtime. What were your thinking going into overtime? Who did you think it favored?
KC. They had been there before. They had the targets on their backs. They were defending champions. I knew that going into overtime that they would have the better game plan and they would prevail. I automatically knew that was going to happen. I hated that it was going to overtime. And speaking of overtime, apparently, and I think Herb was getting ready to get into this. Yeah. Apparently, some of the 49ers players were not familiar with the new overtime rules in the playoffs. And they admitted that. Kyle Juszczyk, he admitted that, and I think Fred Warner may have made the comment on that too. They just They didn't know anything about the new rules.
These are the Buffalo rules.
And there's plenty of fans out there that probably didn't know either. But
like
if you're playing in that game, part of the coaching staff, isn't that their job to make sure that all the players know about this? Yes. Like, you've got to go over the different scenarios, especially starting with the coin toss. Hey, if we get in overtime, we want the ball, we want to defend. But Fred Warner, took the ball, and then
no. Fred Warner didn't take the ball. Shanahan told him, take the ball.
I mean, that's what I mean.
Under the old playoff rules, and yes, to Cat's point, the Chiefs 100% knew what they were doing.
Yeah, they knew. They were ready.
Under old playoff rules in the NFL, you want the ball first.
Right.
In the new playoff rules in the NFL, you want the ball second. It mirrors like kind of college where you want to see what the other person going to do. Before, score a touchdown, game's over. Pats over Falcons in the Super Bowl. Now, score a touchdown, the other team still gets the ball. But your play calling changes. So did you hear Shanahan's explanation for why he took the ball first?
No.
He wanted, if they scored a touchdown and then KC scored a touchdown, they wanted that third possession. How are you coaching past the first two possessions?
I was about to say, you got to score first.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it changes everything that you do. Right. When you take the ball second. It's like what Cat said the Chiefs knew. The Chiefs had already said, after the game, obviously, but they said if Sam Rand scores first and the Chiefs score, they were going for two. Game was going to be over. You were never getting to that third.
Exactly.
But you look at the 49ers were lucky on that first one. They get a holding play on a 3rd and 13 play, a 5-yard holding play, but gives you a first down. And that's the only reason why the drive continues. If they punt there, now all of a sudden a field goal changes versus when Kansas City has the ball 4th and 1 on their own side of the field, they know they have to go for it. They know on 3rd down that they have to go for it.
Yeah.
Everything changed. You do not take the ball first. It was terrible, terrible play call. Now, do you think that play call was the worst of the game? Is that what cost them? Or I don't get how it was a coach. That's your justification.
Yeah, I don't get it at all. I mean, if you get the ball first, like you said, if you get the ball second, your play calling changed because you know exactly what you need to do. If you get the ball first, you're saying, okay, we have to score we want to score a touchdown, but if we don't, we have to live with 3. You get the ball second, you say, okay, we know we have to get it to a certain point just to kick a field goal. But if we make it there, we can start running, passing, and doing whatever it takes just to score a touchdown. So it sucks that the 49ers did not know the rules, and that comes from coaching. In my opinion,
the coaches knew the rules, and they chose a path that did not serve.
Yeah, but if they knew the rules, how come their players didn't know the rules?
That was just terrible coaching. That part, was just terrible coaching. So then, you kind of see what happens at the end of that. KC wins.
Like
I said, I read an article. I was reading an article today before we got on air about people talking about this is the worst KC team. And he was like, no, it's just they leaned on their defense way more than their offense. That's what they did.
They just weren't as dominant as they've been in years past. And even to your point in the playoffs, I mean, they beat Miami, but then they squeaked out in Buffalo, then they squeaked out in Baltimore. And Baltimore could have won that game too. And maybe the same with Buffalo. But Kansas City just kept on squeaking by, and they had one more left in them this past Sunday, and it worked. Everything worked in their favor. So,
do you want to talk Brock Purdy for a minute?
Let's do it.
So real quick, San Fran, the announcers, it was interesting. I listened to one where the guy posted as the celebration was going, and so that was the most emotional of it. And he was upset at the coach. He did mention he was like, no holding calls, hardly any holding calls on their offensive line. I was like, I almost, when I watch football, I almost think you call holding on every play. I think it's just one of those plays you're just going to have a certain amount of leeway. And nobody wants to see as many penalties. But that was the only time the refs came up. And then I listened to other guys come up there. One of them, he's not huge on Brock Purdy as far as leading this team.
Yeah. And
leading up to a Super Bowl. So what side are you taking first, Rod?
I think he can lead this team to a Super Bowl. He came that close to doing so.
And we're going to make it a little more organized. We're going to give you your chance to talk first, and then I'm going to talk, and then you can rebut, and then we'll end.
Okay, if you put, with this team, with the weapons around, if you surround him with the right weapons, as far as the case he's in right now with San Francisco, yes, he can lead this team to a Super Bowl. If you put him on a team give me another team that doesn't have that many weapons. Give him a team, let's just say, hypothetically speaking, Miami. Does he even do as good as, Miami, as Tua does in Miami? I don't think so, because I don't think Tyreek is getting all those passes.
Right.
So, I think
you're kind of arguing yes and kind of arguing no. Because my feeling on Purdy is
what is your question though? Is it can he lead this team or can he lead anybody?
is he? Let's say this: top 10 quarterback in the league, and can he lead them to a Super Bowl? So you're saying he can only this specific San Francisco team?
If he's in the right scenario. So this specific San Francisco team, yes, he can lead them to a Super Bowl.
Okay. So I have to argue that that he can lead any team to a Super Bowl.
Okay. Let's hear it.
So I think people are putting too much in his draft stock, and they're not looking at the person on the field. It's funny, if you're an Alabama fan and you're willing to give Milroe the benefit of the doubt, why not Purdy? He's elevated his play. He's gotten other guys knocked out. You got to argue last year, if he's in that game, maybe he gets them to the Super Bowl then. So saying like just for this team, I think he's the kind of guy that fits well with whatever team and can do whatever you need him to do. He even had some scramble yards in the other games. So I don't think it's just the San Francisco 49ers he can lead. I think he can lead any team to a Super Bowl win. Okay. He's maybe better than Mahomes one day.
Yeah. Do you think, let me ask you this, do you think he just hasn't been able to show off his full potential because of the weapons around him? Like he doesn't really.
I think it's only his first year.
Yeah. His first full year.
Yeah. And I don't think that, he's had a full opportunity to kind of show what he can do.
Okay. That's fair enough.
Are you giving up then?
No, I'm not giving up. I'm just saying I think with the weapons that he has on that San Francisco team, he doesn't really have to do a lot. So, I mean, handing the ball off, making those short passes to Ayuk.
So you're saying as long as he doesn't have to do much, the talent isn't really there for him.
I didn't say that.
What are you saying then?
This saying supposed to be a debate.
You're supposed to come with your opinions like strongly.
I did. He can lead this specific team to San Francisco. I don't think he can lead other teams to the Super Bowl unless he has the right weapons around him. And I hate to say this, but he is a good
game manager.
He is a good game manager. Yeah.
See, there you go. Listen, to
Cam
both
Newton. Of our points.
Listen, Cam Newton. Okay.
Yeah. Cam Newton said that because Cam said he wanted some clicks. He wanted something to say to get some attention. And that
you're repeating him. You can't say that the guy that just got to the Conference Championship and got hurt and then gets to the Super Bowl is a game manager. I think he does what needs to be done. He got outdueled by the best in the game right now, but I think he's much better than people are giving him credit for.
We don't know that, though. That's your opinion, but we don't know that because he has so many weapons around him. And it works out in his favor.
That's what you're
now. If something happens somewhere down the line, he gets traded or free agency, whatever the case may be, then we'll revisit this conversation.
Okay, that's what you're going to go with.
Let me ask you this: what other team could he take to the Super Bowl other than San Francisco?
He's probably better than Tua in Miami. He'd probably be a little more under control.
You're lying.
I'd put him there. He would have done fine in Detroit over Goff. He'd have been fine.
Again, there. Detroit's got weapons.
I mean, not Carolina. Like, what do you want me to say?
Well, yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I mean, I can't.
You want to go to the comments and see who wins the debate this week?
I wonder what's going to happen this time. Go ahead, let's get it over with.
What's up, guys? It's your boy Sylvester here, man. Just finished killing a whole bottle of moonshine by myself, man. Now watching the debate, man. Y'all doing a great job, baby. Great job. Roll Tide. Man, as always, Rodg, you bringing the heat, boy. And I was only a couple drinks in, but I was still listening to you, buddy. But man, that Herb, you can't beat Herb. Roll Tide, baby, Roll Tide. Herb, great job, man. I got to give that vote to you, man. I see what Brad was talking about, boy. You be bringing the thunder, boy. Yeah, good job, Herb. Good job. All right, guys. Appreciate everybody listening to the Herb and Rod broadcast. Sylvester, out.
I'm too old for this.
Let's check the scoreboard. Okay. Well, Roger's still ways to go.
Why do we do these stupid debates? You wrote me in every time. I was like really getting into that one, and I'm like, it doesn't matter what I say ever on this show. It's never gonna matter. I could have Stephen A. Smith right next to me. It doesn't matter. You're going to bring in one of these little characters. Was that the guy from a Lizard Lick Towing?
Outside of that, I don't think he can be the best player. And I think that's one thing that's what makes the play calling so curious. Christian McCaffrey was your best player, and Debo was kind of what made your engine go. But Purdy should not be the guy that you're throwing. You know, you should have a sequence where 3 different drives you throw the ball 8 times. That should have never happened. So, we are actually gonna. So next week we had Sarah and Bo did our preview of the NFL season. So next week they're coming back to help wrap up the season, and we're gonna talk about their teams and other teams. So everyone will get there. So yeah, that was when she saw that you agreed to another debate. So
gosh, I give up.
Every successful QB in the history of ever is only successful because he has players around him. Tua was a game manager. He just had 4 first rounds. Am I doing that right? No. Yeah. So I think when Jalen at the end of his career and then Tua came in, that's when they kind of became a little more dynamic. But I don't mind game managers, man. I think as long as you win, like I don't think who cares. Yeah. So
I just don't think Brock can lead any team in this league right now to the Super Bowl.
Right.
That's just my.
I just think it's so early. The problem is Brock Purdy is in his second year starting.
Well, that's why I said somewhere down the line.
But his team is ready to win now, so it's
they have to because it's going to be hard to keep all these players together for a long period of time. So,
well, that's something we'll probably talk a little bit more next week as well. Okay. So, they got a lot of stuff coming up as far as contracts and everything. And I mean, I didn't realize Ayuk was on his rookie deal.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And he's been their leading receiver the past 2 years, too.
Right.
So I know there's been questions about him and his potential as a wide receiver, but I mean, I think he could be a number 1 on a lot of teams out there that would really need him. So I don't know how long he'll be there. I don't know. Debo's got injury history, so it's good that they have him there. I don't think Kittle was utilized as much as he should have been in the Super Bowl, but I mean, they were handing the ball to CMC so much. So
yeah. That was weird. It's almost like Kittle just kind of disappeared on us. So I was really wondering what was kind of going on there.
Yeah.
So, who was that? Does Marino have?
Oh wow!
Now you're just taking shots.
Yeah, but it's a Dan Marino for Dan Marino's point. I mean, Miami never really had much of a running back at all. He was just throwing to Duper and Clayton all his years, and then after a while, I was like, dude, all right, what else do you want me to do? He's throwing for like 400-some yards a game. So.
All right, Rodg. Getting a little close to the end. About 9 minutes left. I do have a little. I don't even know if you want to talk.
What's
about
that?
It was just an interesting one that kind of came across, but it's about women's basketball. But somebody was already people talking about it. Is Caitlin Clark the best women's player ever?
Let's see. How am I going to put this? We can't mix up the word player and shooter. It's kind of like if you take Steph Curry, he's the best shooter of all time, but nobody really mentions him as far as being the best player of all time. And maybe that's because of his size, and nobody really looks at Steph Curry like he's a heck of a defender. He's not a bad defender, but nobody looks at him like he's like the most elite defender ever. So Caitlin Clark, is she the best shooter of all time? I'd say yes. But as far as the best women's basketball player of all time, there's a lot of names out there that we could throw into the argument. We talked about this Cheryl Miller back in the day. If anybody remembers that, you can name a whole bunch of UConn players.
Right. Breonna Stewart won 4 national championships and had 2 separate undefeated seasons. I'm like, the reason why I don't like the question is because if you say no, people act like it's an insult. There's no insult to Caitlin Clark. She's done wonders for the game, and she's a phenomenal player. Like if I say I wish somebody right now would come in here and tell us that we are the second best podcast of all time. I'd be like, yes. Well, I'd be like, wait a minute, who's first? So.
Yeah.
But like people act like telling you you're the second or third best of all time or just not the best of all time is some kind of insult. It's just not.
Yeah.
I don't know. So, and I think I think it's just kind of a general thing that people have been throwing out, Randy. So not even metrics, but to me, it's just hard for me to say you're the best ever without any championship. Like I said, Breonna Stewart won 4 in a row. Was most valuable player. So it's hard for me to say, hey, you're, especially in basketball. Like football, I can kind of get it because so much of it depends on other people. But basketball, you're at least on the court.
Well, for example, when they mention the GOAT debate, which we've heard for years about Jordan, LeBron, both Jordan and LeBron not so much right now, but they both defend the ball. They both have been pretty good defenders. Obviously, Jordan was like defensive player of the year. LeBron never won it. but we can watch videos of LeBron playing defense all day.
And that's all you have left is videos. No live action anymore.
They never put Steph Curry in that because Steph Curry is a good shooter.
Right.
That's it. So that's what I'm saying about this Caitlin Clark. She's the best shooter of all time, but as far as overall player, I don't think she's there. So.
Yep. All right. Let's get to your questions. Yeah. And that's what I don't get, Randy. I just don't get why it's used as like an insult to guys, like we want you to play well. And so, yep. Taurasi was on the same list. Swoops, as he mentioned, college pro. Yep. So
bunch of people.
And that's why I said it's just a bad question because it feels like you got to shoot down Clark to do it. That's not what I want to do. I think she's a phenomenal player, but just like
I do think Caitlin Clark has been huge for women's basketball, though. I'll say that. I mean, that game that they played, that championship game when they played LSU last year, I was tuning into that thing from beginning to end.
Yep.
So I think she's been phenomenal for women's basketball. Good for her.
And Drew Brees, game manager, won Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That'll. All right, Rod, bring on the questions. Give them to me.
All right. Now, question number one: when our podcast starts to blow up even more, because I know it will.
Right.
Let's just say we finally get enough money to do a Super Bowl ad.
Okay.
If we can run a Super Bowl ad to promote our podcast, which 3 actors or actresses would you want to be in the promo, in the commercial?
Okay. Brett, Gandalf,
gosh, and Sylvester. Side note about Sylvester. Sylvester is actually Herb's middle name.
What? That's just a coincidence.
Yeah, whatever.
Just a coincidence.
Are those your answers?
I mean, if we were gonna say for real, Denzel, for sure. I want to say Bruce Willis from Die Hard, but I know Bruce's health severely declined. If I can get a recreation of him, and then let's say like
wait, who was the first one?
Denzel,
Bruce Willis, and again I said actor or actresses, so I don't know.
Right? I was thinking like maybe who was the last superhero I watched? Maybe Wonder Woman, or maybe Scarlet Witch. One of those two.
Okay.
Trying to think who my favorite, the last superhero one I saw that I really liked. So maybe one of them.
So Gal Gadot or Elizabeth Olsen?
No, they got to wear their superhero costumes in the commercials. Sorry.
That would be a heck of a commercial.
Yeah. This was yes, and I agree with that, Randy. I think that's why I think she phenomenal shooter, been really great for the game. That's why I hate the argument when I have to say no. I don't think she's the absolute best, but she's been great for the sport and seems to have good character about her too as well. So, no, I'm a Caitlin Clark fan. Totally. Yeah. Bring it on, soul brother.
Question number 2. So, of course, before any NBA game or before the Super Bowl, before games, they always show players walking into the locker room with their outfits on.
What would I wear?
What would your pre-Super Bowl outfit look like? I know you're not a big fashionista.
You would hate it because it wouldn't be any. So let's say I was in San Francisco, right?
Okay.
And I'm playing Patrick Mahomes, who seems to be the boogeyman, right? My shirt would have had a variation on the "Bring Me Thanos" shirt, but it would have had Patrick Mahomes, something like that. I would never, like you said, Rodg, terrible at fashion. So mine would have been a lot of the funny T-shirts that you see me wearing. It would have been something with superheroes on it.
To that point, 2016, after the Cavs and my LeBron James defeat the Warriors to the parade, or either the next day or to the parade, he wore a T-shirt that says "The Ultimate Warrior."
Right.
That was pretty clever. I thought that was pretty cool.
Nice.
And side note, the Ultimate Warrior is my favorite wrestler of all time.
Right.
Yeah. Question number 3: Work, Play, Live. Of course, we got to end on Work, Play, Live. Diva edition.
Okay, bring it on.
Beyonce.
Okay.
Mariah Carey.
Okay.
And your girl, Taylor Swift. Work, play,
live. My goodness. So, I guess I'm going to try and minimize Mariah Carey's impact. So, I guess I'll work with her.
Okay.
I feel like out of the 3 of them, she might be the most diva-ish.
Okay.
I guess just because of the little bit I've seen of her show and stuff. I just feel like there'd be a lot of, can you believe we stopped to do the TPS reports or whatever like that kind of thing? So I'll mark her there. Swift, we can live next to. Okay. I don't know. like I know people, oh, you're not going to go out with Taylor Swift. If something goes wrong, I just don't want to be in the next song.
Yeah.
You know, and I want to be talking about it. So like going next door, hearing her music, like if she's practicing, I get free music. Like I'd be good with that. And who was that other person that I guess I'll have to go out with?
Don't disrespect Sydney in the Hive.
I know, right? That was me being subtle. Like, oh, I have to go out with Beyonce. That was see, you do it like this. Oh, I'm going with Beyonce, but see, I do it like this. Oh,
I don't care. I'm honest.
I'm honest too.
Beyonce. I'm hanging out with Beyonce.
Because how am I gonna go in the head, babe? I gotta go out with Beyonce tonight.
If I told Sydney I'm going out with Beyonce, she'd be like, "Oh no. Yes."
Yeah, well,
but she'd be like, "Can we go?"
I don't want. I'd have to tell her no tag-alongs.
Yeah, I'm like, no, just me and B tonight.
Me and B. Sorry, man. Jay-Z has to stay at home too. So.
Yeah.
And I don't worry about Jay-Z stealing my girl. That is not an attractive man.
It's The Rock. Okay, sorry. Another bad Jay-Z impersonation.
Yeah, it was bad. All right, Rodg. Well, next week, as we said, we'll be covering the end of the football season. Hopefully nothing else bad happens Alabama football-wise. For what? Please, Lord, just give us at least 1 week.
We're just trying to make it to A-Day at this point. So
yes, please. So we will be going to A-Day. Our Oklahoma trip is set up. And we might be sending a correspondent out to the Wisconsin game this year. So that's still in the works. So
Cool.
Rodg, final thoughts? You enjoyed the Super Bowl?
I enjoyed the Super Bowl. It was a great game. I wanted it to be a competitive matchup. It was. I was pleased. I was pulling for San Fran. They didn't win. Either way, I didn't really have a dog in the fight. So I guess the big question now is, can Kansas City three-peat?
And we'll be talking about that starting next week and all through the summer. Also look forward to getting you and Big Mike. Hopefully, Mike, we didn't see him out there. So, of course, you got a Mecole Hardman.
Wonder why he mentioned Mecole Hardman.
Yes. Randy will only mention like the guys that played there. He was like, here's all the people. Nick Chubb.
Yeah.
Mecole Hardman.
Exactly.
You sound like us whenever we talk about our Alabama guys in the NFL. And next week we'll be covering that and look forward to a Miami Dolphins sit down at sometime this year with you and Big Mike. That's it. For the Herb Rodg Podcast, as always, we appreciate all of your comments, your likes. Please help us on our quest to get to 100 subscribers. Love you guys.
We'll get there.
Have a wonderful night and roll tide.
Roll tide.